What's going on, guys? Pick decided I'd make a new video. This time I kind of wanted to do a little Fallout video because I haven't really seen people talk about this a lot, but I want to just briefly touch upon the probably the most unluckiest character and probably the most, I guess, kind of saddest if you think about it, character in all of Fallout, in my personal opinion, and it's Codsworth.
Good morning, sir. Your coffee. 173.5 degree Fahrenheit. Brewed to perfection.
Poor
And
Codsworth.
today's newspaper
He
just
gets your coffee ready. He got your comic all ready to go. Sugar bombs. Does everything from the dishes, probably walks the dog out there, cleans the TV. He even takes care of your child, as you'll see in a little bit. He does everything, which I mean, I guess is standard for the Mr. Handies and Miss Nannies, because that's what they're programmed to do by Rob Code. They are designed to take care of your home and repair and
now
maintain as
sounds
needed.
like someone made a sticky.
But Codsworth specifically has that personality that not a lot of the other Mr. Handies do have. He has a sort of upgraded AI which you can kind of tell. It's sort of, just a little bit more advanced than your standard Mr. Handy, which will just, at once you get into like, the future of Fallout, they're insane. And, this brief glimpse into the past is all we get to really see of the Mr. Handies. But later on in the future, like 95% of the handies are just mindless drones, and the 5% that actually do have upgraded intelligence, like Codsworth, are, either insane, which I mean, one could argue that Codsworth does go insane once, you leave for the vault. He starts maintaining the player home indefinitely, trimming hedges that, don't need to be trimmed, watering the grass that is clearly dead. But he still tries. He still tries to maintain that air of nothing has happened, which is is awful for his character. If anything, like he shouldn't have that level of like, you know, destitute laid upon his feet, because I mean he is just a robot. He can really, take it. But at the same time, he's got an intelligence. He has, clearly some sort of altered, you know, thought, especially after the uh the events that take place. And you don't really get to even see a lot of Codsworth, especially like in between uh this current instance, like before you talk to the Vault Tech guy, and after you get out of the vault. So one can only speculate what he actually does. He kind of tells you a little bit, but it's really up to the player imagination to just imagine how poor Codsworth like actually got it.
Good answer.
I have my moments.
And now here's another little clip of Codsworth I just want to point out,
Sir, Sean
where I
is
really get into the
peeved.
bread and butter of
He
everything.
absolutely refuses to calm down. I think he needs some of that paternal affection you seem to be so good at.
And that's one of the reasons I think Codsworth kind of has a artificial intelligence. He's able to actually grasp that the fact that, hey, the Sean, the child, Nora and Nate's child, uh, needed a parental affection, as he put it.
Sir,
The
if I may, Sean requires your personal attention. A boy needs
which
that.
a standard Mr. Handy, probably wouldn't even say that. Like some of the more programmed Mr. Handys with definite AIs would probably say something like that. Which is why I think, he actually is. He's got something ticking up there. He's got some sort of intelligence, which just makes his future all the more sadder.
sounds like fun.
Sir, Mum, you should come and see this.
All right, last thing I want to point out in the past Codsworth, and it is the fact that he is also taken unaware by the Great War that happens, which is, I think, kind of interesting because why didn't Mr. House program his robots to also take into account the calculations that he put in? Why aren't the Robco robots ready for anything that happens, like on this specific date? Which I guess one could argue that Mr. House himself was also wrong. I think in New Vegas, he says something along the lines of, my calculations were wrong by like 18 hours or 19 hours, something like that. So it could be all possible that they were programmed to, you know, be prepared for such an event, but it was just the wrong time. And the last little dialogue you say to Codsworth before you actually go into the vault is kind of sad.
Codsworth, stay safe, buddy.
And your family as well, sir? Oh, my. Goodbye, sir. May I say what an honor it has been to serve you and your family.
And this is the last time your character actually sees poor Codsworth as you dash to the vault in a desperate attempt to survive the nuclear holocaust that has come. So now back into, standard Boston Commonwealth wasteland. It's gone. Well, most of it is. There's still some decrepit houses, which we'll find are sad, very sad robot. But I think it's just interesting that the entire experience of the vault can't, like, it. There's no mention of a robot at all, even though the Mr. Handys and the Miss Nanny robots designed by Robco are fitted with fusion cell sort of batteries that prolong their lifespan indefinitely. So those robots should be able to easily like sit into the vault somewhere and at least maintain it. I'm so like had they had a single robot in Vault 111, they probably would have had more people survive the cryogenic stasis. But they didn't, which is weird. So now you see poor Codsworth just going to town on those hedges, trying desperately to maintain them, even though the hedges are dead. Also, just want to point out he didn't do these hedges right here. Maybe he's just now getting to them. But let's see what Codsworth himself has to say about all this.
As I live and could deter the pride of General Atomics International. But you seem the worse for wear. Best not let the wife see you in that state, hmm? Where is the missus, by the way?
She's in a better place.
Sir, these things you're saying, these terrible things, it's been ages since we've had a proper family activity. Checkers, or perhaps charades. Sean does so love that game. Is the lad with you?
Sean's been kidnapped. But I'm going to find him. I'm going to get my son back.
It's worse than I thought. Mm-hmm. You're suffering from hunger-induced paranoia. Not eating properly for 200 years will do that, I'm afraid.
200 years? What? Are you...
A bit over 210, actually, sir. Or give or take a little, for the Earth's rotation and some minor dings to the old chronometer. That means you're 2 centuries late for dinner. Perhaps I can whip you up a snack? You must be famished.
Now, this is one of the things I want to point out. Codsworth, in his delirium of taking care of the player home for 200 years, doesn't even take into consideration that humans can't live for 200 years and stay the exact same age and look the same. He doesn't even consider that for a moment. The first thing he sees when he, is presented with the player character is, oh, one of the two owners of this home that I've been maintaining is back. Well, get him some fucking food.
What? Food? Yeah, sure. I need a minute to think.
Then I'll be right back.
And as jovial as ever, he just hums away as he gets you some food and doesn't even consider for the fact that, there's half of the wall right here is missing. There's no glass in the window, door right here gone.
Yes.
Sir? Here you are, sir. Now, I've been thinking, if something is amiss, your loved ones may simply be hiding from the Red Menace.
The Red Menace?
Why, the communists, of course. The Russians and the Chinese.
And he is still so delusional to the fact that, there even is a communist China or communist Russia that, he still thinks that the Red Menace is a threat, especially in nuclear apocalypse.
Codsworth, buddy. I don't think the Reds are going to be a problem anymore.
I have an idea. Let's search the neighborhood together.
And
after all, the Mrs. and young Shaw,
in his naivety,
they're my family too.
I'm still thinking this is part of the insanity.
Codsworth.
He wants to search the entire neighborhood out of just desperation to help the player any way he can, because this is
horrible.
This is why.
2 centuries with no one to talk to, no one to serve. I spent the first 10 years trying to keep the floors waxed, but nothing gets out nuclear fallout from vinyl wood. Nothing. And don't get me started about the futility of dusting a collapsed house. And the car. How do you polish rust?
As you can see, the years have not been kind. Codsworth all he took 10 years trying to polish the floors immediately after a nuclear blast, and then like you said, polishing rust off a damaged vehicle that has sustained like 200 years of rust damage, and clearly doesn't even look like it's operable. But he's still attempting to maintain everything just out of that sort of, I got to do this. I'm programmed to do this. What other reason do I have to do anything else? Which just, genuinely to me makes him probably the saddest character in Fallout, the unluckiest character in Fallout.
Stay with me, pal. Focus.
I'm afraid I don't know anything, sir. The bombs came and all of you left in such a hurry. I thought for certain you and your family were dead. I did find this holotape. I believe the missus was going to present it to you as a surprise. But then, well, everything happened.
And, one of the last few points I want to, point out about poor sad Codsworth here, he kept a holotape from 200 years ago, probably one of the few that actually is like well maintained, considering when he hands it to you, it looks like brand new basically. And it just goes to show that he was desperate in any way to maintain this home for the player character. It was the one thing that he wanted / was programmed to do. So he tried everything he could think of to at least appease them when they came back, not knowing if they would come back. And the fact that they came back 200 years later, well, one of them did, kind of gives him that glimpse of, hey, maybe what I was doing was worth it, when in actuality it was not. But you can still thank him anyway for giving you the holotape in almost pristine condition.
Thank you, Codsworth.
You're welcome. Now, enough feeling sorry for
And then he's
myself.
immediately back
Shall we
to,
search the neighborhood together?
just wanting to
Mrs.
search the neighborhood.
Sean may turn up yet.
Went from, oh, well, I thought your family was dead in nuclear holocaust, to they still might have a chance if you're out, even though, at the beginning, when you get out of the cryopod, you obviously see your spouse. Codsworth probably hasn't even been down to the vault. He probably didn't know where it was.
All right. Lead the way.
Proud to serve, sir.
And then, you just go on a little bug killing adventure with Codsworth trying desperately to make sense of everything.
Sir,
And
found
I
you.
also just want to point out he's not really caring to the fact that, he's technically
I'm
invading
supposed to be impressed.
his former neighbors' homes. He doesn't really care
I
about
dare
that. He's
say
just
I'm
like, oh, well,
slightly
yeah.
disappointed.
Gotta find the player character.
Here but a few flies. Wait. My senses are picking up movement in another house. Follow me.
And you would think, this would have been the first thing he would have done, really, is like immediately after the blast
What's
to
all
look
this
for
then?
somebody.
Not this time.
But instead, he waits 200 years once he sees the player character and thinks, okay, now is the good time to actually search the entire neighborhood for somebody.
Jolly good show
It's just
all round.
pure insanity.
Sir, your
And the last little point I
family
want to make
isn't
about
here
Codsworth.
either. They're really gone, aren't they?
Come on, Codsworth. I need your help.
And it's
Where can I go?
Codsworth's help that he
Could
gives
head
you.
into the city. Concord is nearby, but the people there are as put together as I am.
There's still people alive in Concord?
Yes, although they're a bit rough. You remember the way? Just across the southern footbridge out of the neighborhood and past the Red Rocket Station? I shall remain here and secure the home front.
The fact that he never took the opportunity to search his entire neighborhood that he was programmed to, stay in, but he went to Concord, which was at least like, I don't know, a good walking distance away. I wouldn't say it's a mile, maybe 2 miles, maybe. But he went there and, met the locals, I'm assuming raiders. And that's probably where he got most of his dings and scratches, honestly.
There must be
Which
someone who
probably
can help
just
you in
put some sort of
Concord.
mistrust of people in him. And, that's probably when he came back to the neighborhood and was like, well, time to trim the hedges for eternity. Yeah, what do you guys think? Is there somebody, sadder than Codsworth? Like, if I had to pick someone else that was had a little bit more sad backstory than Codsworth, it'd probably be the Vault Tech technician that you talk to, the guy that takes down all your skill stats and everything, and actually gets you into the vault, and then he himself was turned away. But I personally think that Codsworth, doomed to an eternity of servitude to a family that left him in a nuclear blast, and then once, all is said and done, he tries to find humans, does, they're raiders, and then they beat him up, and he comes back here and just maintains the home for eons. Doesn't even search any of the other not player homes, any of the other neighborhood buildings. And he just kind of just sits here and wallows in the fact that he couldn't really do anything to save his owner's family. Yeah, let me know if you think there's somebody else that has a sadder backstory than Codsworth. And yeah, this is a pick. Peace.